What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Res Talk. My name is Sam. I'm joined by the forever babyface, Shreays Singh. Shreays, how are we?
Yeah, I'm doing fairly well. It's been a good weekend, and finally getting back into Premier League football after the international break. So it's
Yep.
been a good change of pace.
You were around for the preview for the, not the preview, the review for the Forest game. What were your sort of just like short little thoughts on it? Because I was quite angry with it, as you saw in the review, but Nick and Chivy seemed pretty okay with it. What were your thoughts on it?
I think because I watched it the other day after the match, I was a bit more calm, and I understood your point of view as well
Yeah.
on it. Understood their perspective on it as well. That if you had to compare it to previous performances on the ball, we look better. I think pressure, controlling the pressure, we look better. But when it came to off the ball movement, when it came to actually having any sort of bite in the attack, that there was that was actually non-existent. And especially when you're coming up against a side like Forest who feed on actually have the other team actually having more possession and just going for a counter attack, getting one goal, and then just sitting back throughout the entirety of the game. And they're genuinely very good at it. So in a way, we did play into their hands. I think we did have we did have some very good opportunities in that game. But once again, we were very wasteful.
Yeah.
And apart from that as well, I think you can see how much we need not just one but two senior figures to actually enter into that attacking line and actually take the pressure off some youngsters and actually start getting some output, because the kind of chances we waste, and especially against the big teams, if you waste these sort of chances early on into the game, you don't take the lead, you invite the other team into the game, it's only going to make life more troublesome for you.
Yeah. And speaking of, this is what we're here to talk about today. Speaking of like finishing chances, strikers, been a lot of the sort of updates on the strikers Manchester United have been interested in, and from actually legitimate sources, David Ornstein, Laurie Whitwell, so people who I actually respect and think they have an actual sort of source that I can think, okay, they know what they're talking about. So we're going to go through all those strikers, and then at the end, Shrea's is going to rank his top five, who he would go for and who not so much a fan of. So let's start with the obvious one, Victor Gyokeres, Sporting Lisbon. So David Ornstein came out a couple of days ago and said Arsenal are developing a strong interest in Manchester United linked forward Victor Gyokeres from Sporting Lisbon. Amram is a big fan of his. Man United appreciate the player, but it's not guaranteed at this moment until United decide on their budget this summer. He can leave Sporting for 65 to 70 million euros with add-ons in the summer. So that's basically the update on Victor Gyokeres. There's been so much talk about Victor Gyokeres since Ruben Amorim has basically come to United as, oh, it's going to happen, but he wasn't going to raid him in January, etc. It looks like every week we goes by, Shreys, it looks like the Gyokeres deal is further and further away from happening. And now Arsenal reportedly interested in him. They could offer him Champions League football. They could offer him being a title challenger. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Is this Gyokeres deal just looking like it's not going to happen now?
The thing is, he wants Champions League football, whether it's whichever club he moves to. And you can understand it from his perspective as well. He's 26, 27 now. So even he doesn't have as much of a timeline
Yeah,
to once again reinvest himself into a project, wait for like 3 to 4 years, and then go for all titles. So he does want Champions League football. It it looks very very bleak that at the moment we'll be able to get Champions League football next season. There's a slimmer of hope, I would say, when you look into the Europa League. But with the momentum that we've been on and the performances and the injuries, it's just going further and further away. I think in any scenario, he's probably everyone's top pick.
yes.
With the kind of output he generates, not just goals wise, assists wise as well. His link up play, hold up play, physicality into the box. He's got every single thing you want in a striker. And for me, he hits, he's in the perfect age gap as well. He's not way too young, he's not way too old. He's going to come in, give you a good 4 to 5 year spell. And then by the time he reaches his 31s and 32s, Hoyland will be around 28, 29,
Yeah.
ready to take the mantle from him. So it will be a much better scenario for us if someone like Gyökeres does come in. But it just looks very difficult for us, especially when you have to compete with clubs like Arsenal, clubs like Barcelona, who right now have a lot more to offer in comparison to
Yeah.
United.
You look at Arsenal as well. Like I know they've been linked with Alexander Isak, who again I love. I think he's a fantastic
Yeah,
player. But Newcastle are talking 100, 120 million, and you think that's a high price for a guy. And then you look at Victor Gyokeres, who people are saying, oh, 65, 70 million euros is expensive. But in comparison to Alexander Isaac, that's fairly cheap for a ready-made
almost
striker
half the
who's ready
price.
to go. Yeah. Like that's a really good option. And I think he'd fit really well into the Arsenal system. I think he'd thrive there.
Yeah,
So that's really worrying. But obviously you've got Liverpool could come into this conversation as well because Darwin Núñez, there's rumours about him. What's happening there? Like there was a Saudi offer, I think, and
yeah,
he's not scoring. They've been talking about Isaac as well, so they could come into the conversation. And I think you're right. I think the competition is just insane. Like of all the choices you could make, if you look at United on paper, why would you
yeah,
pick us? Like other than
exactly.
Ruben Amorim, like why would you come here? Like it's a difficult one. But I again, out of I'm not gonna ruin my top five, but he's definitely one of my favorites in terms of who I would
Yeah,
like. But the feasibility doesn't look fantastic. Right, let's move on to Victor Osimhen. So Laurie Ritwell said Manchester United's tight budget is a major factor for all options, including Victor Osimhen, whose salary would have been an obstacle. Some sort of swap deal could make the deal more financially feasible. We've seen rumours of Højlund going to Napoli, Garnacho they've been interested in, so there's possibility there. Um, He's also put an update on the. I forgot to put this in the Gyokeres. He said the Victor Gyokeres track to Manchester United is lukewarm at best due to the cost of the operation. So I'll just put that in there as well. And then David Ornstein spoke on Gyökeres, Osimhen as well. Let me find the quote. There we go. David Ornstein, there seems to be a consensus among Premier League clubs that Victor Osimhen's most likely destination is Saudi Arabia. If United want him and can afford him, they'll have a good a chance as any team. Champions League football would obviously be help. There's that problem again, Shreays. Champions League
yeah.
football. Obviously he's playing in the Champions League with Galatasaray. If he was at Napoli, he'd be in the Champions League. Well, but obviously that relationship I think is pretty much dead at this point. This is the first mention I've seen of Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia have changed their tactic a little bit in terms of signing over the age superstars, and now they're
Yeah,
looking to younger players and more people that they can build the league with. And I think Victor Osimhen sort of fits into that. Obviously, they can afford his wages, but they're not in the Champions League, so it's a question in it. Sure, it's like, does he want Champions League football or does he want the big money? Like, where does he want to go? Because United can't offer either of those. Maybe we could offer Champions League if we win the Europa League, but at this point, United can't offer either of those things.
I think I don't think he moves to Saudi. I think there will still genuinely be a lot of suitors for Osimhen within Europe as well, because again, this
Oh,
season he's
definitely.
been incredible for Galatasaray again. And apart from that, he's again a striker who guarantees you 20-25 goals in a season. He has experience of winning the big titles, winning the trophy with Serie A,
Hmm.
under Napoli alongside Cavara was a very, very big achievement. Then you would look at, in that season as well, they made it, I think, to the semis of the Champions League or
Yep.
quarters of the
Yep.
Champions League as well. Something that Napoli haven't done in quite some time. So he is a very, very big figure, I would say, when it comes to the striker position. For 65 million, again, I would say not that bad of a deal, because if you go into the market for players who give you 20-25 goals a season, it's going to cost you 80 million or upwards of that.
Yep.
So if you're getting a option for getting someone like that for around 65 million, and again, not super old, around that 26-27 year old gap, I think fits perfectly into United. And again, I think in this system he can thrive as well. Physically dominant in the box, rapid on the ball, and perhaps one of the best clinical strikers you will actually
Yes.
find in your. So for me, Osimhen, I think Gyokeres and Osimhen are the top choices if we can actually, afford them.
That was the question I was going to ask you, because obviously we know Gyokeres fits into Amrin's system because we saw the success that he had at Sporting. Victor Osman's a little bit of a different striker. Like he seems more of a
Yeah,
bully. He's more physical, like you said. He has got a little bit of an injury record. Is that a concern to you as well? Because he does seem to get injured quite frequently. He hasn't this season, but in the past he has.
I think any player we sign, even if he doesn't have a past with
He's gonna
injuries,
have one.
the moment he comes in, ACL is gone, knees are gone, legs are gone.
Yeah.
And Lisandro never had a problem with injuries ever.
No.
And
No.
since he's come to United, it's been a very bad patch for him. Mount was never that much of an injury prone player,
No.
only had a spell of an injury with Chelsea, played couple, probably one of the most overworked players at Chelsea, I
Yeah.
would say, when it came to appearances before he came to United. And, his legs are gone as well. So all we can do is hope, no
Yep.
matter who we sign.
All our goalkeepers were injured as well up until like recently. They were all gone. Even the backup ones, you just like,
Yeah,
what is happening there? So yeah.
Deal is gone, Deal is gone.
But yeah, I'm a little less sold on Osimhen than I am on Gyokeres. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, I think Osimhen is a fantastic player. Like if United signed him, I'd be happy. Like I'd be
yeah,
ecstatic because it's an experienced striker, the right age profile. He can score goals. He's got a record, and he's a winner. So like it fits
yeah.
everything. But like I said, but we'll get into the top fives later. The next one, Liam Delap, Ipswich Town. So Laurie Whitwell, Liam Delap holds appeal for Manchester United because of his age and the prospect of recruiting him from Ipswich Town in the event of their relegation. Jason Wilcox is a fan of Delap, having worked with him at the Manchester City Academy. Obviously, you've got that sort of connection there. And then there's a couple more updates. Let me just find them. David Ornstein, what are you? What are you? What are you? Let me while I find this other one. So Liam Delap fits into that sort of profile of Rasmus Højlund. Young, raw talent, has definitely got something about him, but he's not there yet. I think he's 21, 20, something around there. He's ready to sort of start playing and up in his level, but he hasn't sort of proved it consistently, and there's still a lot to work on. He's probably going to cut. I've seen rumors of 40 million or something like that around that price. What are your thoughts on Delap? Would that be an option for you if all these other strikers are looking like 70, 80 million?
I think it's way too soon for us to go for Delap because he doesn't have that sort of experience yet. And again, you've already got Xerxes, you've already got Hoyland,
Yeah.
you've got two very young strikers already at the club who we say at the moment that they've got something about him. Will take some time, but they've got something that we can actually work with and build up with. Delap fits into the same category. And if you're going to be forking out 40 million for that sort of a player, I think I would rather use that sort of money on a player who can give us at least, certain sort of guarantee. Because, just like Hoyland, Delap is also a very patchy player.
Yep.
He's in a good wing of form right now, but even he has his spells. I think when you play for a club like Ipswich Town, even though you have those sort of spells, the pressure isn't that much. When you are at United and you're not getting goals, and especially, when you're in a space where you don't even get that many chances to actually score in comparison to, I would even say, Ipswich. It's only going to get tougher for you. And I think at least with Hoyland, we have a player who's got some sort of European experience. In the Europa League, in the Champions League, he's been well decent in those tournaments. So I just don't think that, forking out 40 million for someone like Delap would actually make the situation for us better because we need someone in that attack to come in and be a senior figure. Delap isn't going to be doing that. And we cannot go into another season having a 20-year-old Garnacho, then a 21,
Yeah.
22-year-old Amad Diallo. Then in the striker position, you've got Delap, again, a young
Yeah.
20-year-old. We need some
With
seniority in that attack.
And then you've got Cheeto as well, who'd be what 18, 19 at the
Yeah,
time. So yeah, this was the other bit. David Ornstein. I expect him to move this summer in reference to Delap with Chelsea and Manchester United among his many suitors. Of course, Chelsea are involved because they buy fucking everybody. So that's just standard. But yeah, it seems like he's gonna move, and yeah, much like you, I agree. Like I don't know if like he's clearly talented. He's clearly got something about him. He's aggressive. He's got a hell of a power on his shot. When he takes a
yeah,
shot, it's a fucking wicked power on it. So he clearly like has got a good eye for goal. But yeah, then you like you said, you're just sort of looking at it and going, well, we've got an inexperienced striker who's had 2 seasons with us and struggled to score goals. We've then got another inexperienced striker in Cheeto who's had what 20 minutes of professional football at
yeah,
us, if that.
yeah,
And then you've got your other forwards who are, like you said, Garnacho, who's 22, who's struggling to like when he's playing on the left to provide any sort of like indent in the team with goals, assists, or anything. He's one of the most frustrating players we have. And then Amad Diallo, where you're like, fantastic player, but are we just putting everything on him basically, like, and
exactly.
expecting him to score? Like, I think it's just really. So I think you're right. I think we need to have. I think we need to have an experienced striker. So as much as I like the lap, I think it's the wrong time. I don't think. I think we've bought our project striker in Rasmus Højlund. So unless we sell Rasmus Højlund and then we brought in, say, an Osimhen and a Delap, I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
it's the right option. But we'll see. See, there's been another one today. This is from the Athletic, from the Crystal Palace correspondent called Matt Woozy. Jean-Philippe Mateta was linked with a move to Manchester United, but they are not thought to be one of the clubs who have presented a serious interest in signing him. We saw these rumours kick off like a couple of weeks ago, but now the water seems to be thrown on it. Thoughts on Mateta? Would you have taken him?
As a secondary figure on the bench, definitely. I think you can have someone like him to come off from the bench, or as a backup striker. Again, not the person who's going to take us from 12th to top 4.
Yeah.
He's not that sort of person, and right now we need someone who can come in and do that job for us. Mateta, I think, for Palace has been absolutely amazing the past couple of seasons. I think his involvement, I think last season with Eze as well as Odise, he formed a perfect partnership. Even this season with Eze, Kamada, and Ketia, he's been fairly decent. But for me, not the sort of profile we should be looking at. And again, if we do go in for him, Palace aren't going to let him go for cheap.
No.
So, and again, if you're going to be paying around 45 to 50 mil for Mateta, better to pay 65 for Osimhen.
Yeah.
It's only a 10-15 mil gap. So
Yeah.
at least, the levels are completely different between these two players. So again, as a backup figure, to have another player in that attack on the bench, I think he fits in. But I don't think he fits in as a starter, especially for United, especially the kind of pressure that we are in right now.
Yeah, you look at the sort of mistakes we made when we went for Hoyland, and we obviously ended up overpaying for 70 million. And what Harry Kane would have been, what, 90 or 100 million?
Yeah.
Like, you could have paid, like, if we didn't buy, say, Mason Mount, we could have just gone and
Yeah.
got Harry Kane. It's like we didn't need Mason
Exactly.
Mount at the time, and obviously it's not worked out because he's been consistently injured. But obviously we weren't to know that when we bought him. But you could have saved yourself the money by not overpaying for Hoyland and not buying Mason Mount and just gone and get Harry Kane, and then you sort of goal scoring problems are solved as well.
Yeah.
Because you see what he's doing in the Bundesliga, he's absolutely destroying records every single week. So
Yeah.
it's baffling to me, but yeah, it's a solid link anyway because it's from the Athletic. Hugo Ekitike, been a lot of talk around him. He's been playing well at Eintracht Frankfurt. There's talks of 60 to 70 million. I've seen 80 million as well being chucked around. Again, young player. I think he's 21. Frankfurt sold. How much did they sell to City? Marmoush, was it 70 million?
80, I think.
80 million. So again, they don't let players go cheap, and you've seen the impact that Marmoush has had. Very good player, like consistent. So I don't think he's going to go for less than 70, 80 million euros. 21, had a really good season with Eintracht Frankfurt. Again, not been consistent because he's still quite young and raw. Is this the same issue as the lap? Is this in the same boat as him?
I just don't trust, buying strikers from the Bundesliga, because majority of them don't work out in the Prem, and we've seen it over the years. The one I would have wanted to get ended up going to City, so that's not a conversation. But Ekitike is a decent figure, very young, still, very raw again as a striker, but I don't think that, especially with the way he plays, I don't think he'll match up with the intensity and the physicality of the Prem. I genuinely don't think so. I think he's better suited to playing in the Bundesliga, and we've seen so many strikers actually move from the Bundesliga. Just take Haaland and Marmoush aside, because Haaland is a generational talent. Marmoush
He's a
as well
freak,
is
Haaland's
just a heck
freak.
of a
Like,
figure as
just a
well.
freak.
So Luka Jovic didn't work. Timo Werner didn't work. Sebastian Haller didn't work in the Prem. So
Sancho.
the list goes on and on. Yeah, Sancho didn't work. Havertz hasn't really worked out that greatly as well. So the list is endless when it comes to, figures moving from Bundesliga into the Prem, and then, it not actually translating. And we've got a very bad record. Like you mentioned, Sancho, Mkhitaryan has been one of them as well. Came in with huge expectations, didn't work out. So
Kagawa.
I
as
would,
well back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. I would just like us to deviate away from the Bundesliga
Yeah.
and look at others leagues, because there's a good market. I
Yep.
would say, when we actually get into it, there's a good market with more senior figures who've been there, done that, and especially when it comes to United and the kind of position we are in, can actually come in and have an impact. If we get Ekitike in, it's going to be the same story. Give him time. You need to wait it out 3 to 4 years more.
Yeah.
He'll be in his prime. So can't have those conversations again and again and again.
Yeah. It's people, fans are already sick of it with Hoyland and are already getting on his back, and you don't want to
Yeah,
bring another 21-year-old into that kind of environment.
yeah,
So yeah, it's frustrating. Right. There was a couple of other people linked, but they're not necessarily strikers. So I've seen links to Justin Cliver, I've seen links to Xavi Simmons, but again, they're not strictly strikers. Cunha is another one.
yeah.
So I've kind of left them out of the conversation for now, but maybe we could touch on that on another day. So first thing I want you to do, Shreays, is out of those five we've just touched on. So just a reminder for the people watching. So John-Philippe Mateta, Victor Osimhen, Victor Gyokeres is too many Victors, Liam Delap, and Hugo Ekitike. That's your five. I want you to rank them 1 to 5. I'll start at 5 and then work your way up. So 1 is going to be the one who you would most likely love to come to United. Not who's going to actually come. We'll get onto that another time. Who you would love to come. So starting at number 5, who's the least one that you would like to come to United at number 5?
Ekitike.
Ekitike. Okay. Number 4.
Yeah. Mateta.
Ateta. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Della.
Lap. And interesting. Okay, so it's between the two victors at number 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
who's your number 1?
Gyokeres.
Gyokeres.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would agree with your number 1. I think my number 1 is Victor Gyokeres. I think my number 2, I'd agree with you as well, Victor Osimhen.
Victor Osimhen.
I think number 3 would be Delap.
I'd just go with Della because once again, I think he's very strong as a unit in that box.
Yes,
So
he
if
is.
we actually end up getting him, at least we have that sort of thing at our club finally, that we have a threat in the box. At least we have a
Physicality.
threat in the box. Yeah,
Physicality, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 3, I'd probably go Delap. Number 4, I'd go Ekitike. Number 5, Mateta, just because I just don't think
Yeah.
what we need. So I'll put you on the spot now. It don't have to be any of those 5, but who is the striker we sign in the summer?
Osimhen.
You think we sign on? You think we get him?
I think we'll get someone in that, I would say again, in that conversation of 20-25 goals.
Yep.
Right now, I would personally want us, and especially, with the way Gyokeres and other names are flying about, maybe, Osimhen could just fly under the radar and we could get it done before other clubs pounce on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love it. I think if we signed Osimhen, I'd love to see us get it done early as well. Let's fucking, if you're
Yeah,
gonna go for it, work on
before
it now.
preseason.
Go get it
Yeah,
done now.
before preseason.
Sort it out. And then when preseason opens, be like, bang, yeah, Osimhen's coming, and it's fucking done. So I don't have to post graphics for the next 12 weeks about Osimhen deal close or Osimhen. Like, I cannot be
Monitoring,
bothered.
it's
Yeah,
close.
no, I don't. I don't need that. Really don't need that in my life. So if we can just get it done in before the season, like that would be fantastic. I don't know if it's going to be Osimhen. I think we're going to sign like a Dorgu type
Someone unknown.
striker, like an unknown.
Someone
I think,
unknown.
yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. I can, because there's so many positions we have to address this summer, like right wing back. I've seen talks about centre back. There's got maybe an 8, a 10. Like there's a lot of positions we've got to look at this
With the
summer.
way things are going about, I've heard 6, because it looks like Onana isn't secure either for next season.
Oh Jesus
So
Christ!
there's
The
a lot
goalkeeper
going
as
about.
well. Yeah,
And once again, I'm not confident going into another season having Onana in net for us at the back. So,
yeah.
and especially, with the way things have been coming out, even Amorim has said that, not happy with the keeper situation at the club. So maybe we see a
Mm.
shake up when it comes to the goalkeeping position as well.
It'd be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting because we know at least like what 4 or 5 are leaving for definite because they're out of contract
Yeah.
or they're on loan at the minute, so they're probably going to be sold. And then there could be what, another 5, 6 that also could possibly go and be sold. Like, mad.
Maybe, I think in a way, we'll at least have 6 outgoings for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got like Lindelof and Ericsson, they're out of contracts.
Casemiro will be leaving as well for sure. So that's
Casemiro, they're going
three.
to try and push out the door.
Yeah.
Rashford, I
Sancho
don't see
gone out.
Rashford, Sancho, Malacia, Anthony. Well,
Anthony.
that's 7 already. And then they're probably going to try and shift on some other players. Like, do they sell Garnacho and get the profit in?
I
They sell
I
him.
think I think in between them, Garnacho and Meno, I think Garnacho will be the one who's going to be
Yeah,
leaving, because with Meno you at least have that technical, and I would say, that flair of passing around
yeah,
as well, the way to drive the ball forward. So I think, especially in this system, I think Meno fits a lot better if I had to compare it to Garnacho.
yeah. And you've got Johnny Evans retiring, most likely Tom Heaton retiring. Most likely. There's question marks over Bayinde. Does he want to stay? If he wants to play for
Still
Turkey,
question marks over Hoyland and Xerxes. I
yeah.
think only one of them will end up staying. One of them.
So yeah, there's a lot of question marks heading into the summer. It's going to be busy as fuck for Manchester United and for us as a channel. Leave your thoughts
Yeah,
in the comments. Who are your top 5? Who are the people you like? And ultimately, let us know who you think we will sign as a striker. Just a quick little show today, just because we've been without a show for a couple of days with stuff that's out of our control. We will be back tomorrow, and obviously on Sunday, we will be here for the derby. Manchester United versus Manchester City. All the coverage, post-match reviews. We'll have the preview tomorrow. So please do stick around. Follow all the socials. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter/X. We're on everything. Come find
yeah.
us on there. Come interact with us. Latest news, latest stuff. Shreays, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.